Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. I am your host, Archie Mitchell, and this week I have another special guest. No, it's not Nate Maxon this time. It is the CEO of Mark's Indie Spotlight, Mark Brew. Mark, welcome back to the show.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come back and, I'll jump back through that barbershop window.
Now, see, we were supposed to talk about this last night on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. You and I are not the Rockers. You and I are more like a demolition who never actually broke up. So I would never throw you through the barbershop window. I'd maybe just look for a crush somewhere. You know what
Well,
I mean?
as long as we both remember helmet on for the entrance.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Mark will be joining me as we talk about, as you know, back to our normal programming of NXT, AEW Dynamite, and NWA Power. Um, just a listener's note, though, NWA Power, not that great this week.
It had like I know it's a short show, but it had its moments
Right.
where like certain stuff was good, but oof,
If it stays on this track, I may have to take it away and add something else. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but we're going to give it until NWA 74 because I'm interested to see what they do at that show, along with all the craziness that's been going on with Nick Aldis. I'm sure Billy Corgan has something in his back pocket for that show, other than Matt Cardona. But that's a story
I
for
mean
another day.
he needs to go ahead and pull it out of his pocket on his weekly show to go ahead and make that have some
I agree.
noteworthy
I
stuff.
agree. So go ahead. By the way, it was a great week for wrestling in general, though. We're going to get into it big time with, talking a little bit about Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and NXT. So go ahead, crack open your favorite frosty beverage, strap on in, and get ready for a wild ride as we go into our first segment, which is always quick hits. And Mark, first quick hit: Dana Warrior, the widow of the Ultimate Warrior, is no longer on the WWE creative team. Thank you, Triple H, because in my opinion, Dana Warrior really didn't do anything except for help to pick out who was going to be the Warrior Award recipient at the Hall of Fame.
Hmm. I'll
Uh,
put it like this: like all these people that they've been hiring and firing, I think it's steps towards making wrestling tolerable again.
I agree.
Because like certain people just shouldn't be making decisions because they call
Right.
really bad finishes and stuff. But my opinion,
No, I agree. In my opinion, Dana Warrior did not need a seat on the creative team. Hell, you want to put somebody on the creative team that has actual roots in this business. Give Vicky Guerrero a job on the creative team. You know what I mean? If we're hiring widows of past great wrestlers, you know what I mean? It
yeah,
just doesn't make any sense that Dana Warrior had a job there. But I guess that was Vince's soft spot where he said, you know what, come on, Dana, join the company. I don't really remember anything of worth that she did, though, so I can't say she hurt or helped in any way, but I'm just happy to hear that she's no longer affiliated with the creative team.
yeah.
So number two, WWE Raw scores a 2.23 million viewers this past Monday night on Raw, which makes it the highest rated episode since March 16th of 2022. That's right, the last few months, Raw has been in the toilet, barely gaining 1.5 million viewers. So to get this kind of a jump up, Mark, they must have done something right.
Well, I mean, a lot of people who weren't kind of tuning in are now turning their TVs back to that channel on those nights to see what Triple H is going to do.
Exactly.
And him and Stephanie pretty much at the helm of the company now.
Right. And the good part is this is going to allow to bring some of those main fans back that maybe tuned out a year ago or however long ago, and allow them to see a good quality product because Monday Night Raw, we had Seth Rollins with an incredible promo and then a great matchup with Montez Ford. Montez Ford was made to look like a star on Monday Night Raw. The women's matches were actually coherent and made sense. And the segments that we saw on Monday Night Raw, all the way leading up to the main event, were fantastic. I mean, Mark, let me ask you a question. If this was a month ago, before Vince retired, would you have guessed that Tommaso Ciampa would have won the main event on Raw over AJ Styles and earned a shot at the United States title?
Not for not because of the way that it was booked.
Right,
I wouldn't like what I'm saying is the way it was being booked before. You would expect them to put AJ over, but
right.
like the natural talent that Champa has, you see he's got that it factor.
Right, exactly.
So does it surprise me that they put him over? Not really, because
No,
he's athletic and he's got great ring psychology. And
damn good promo.
if they keep putting him in those spots to do the things that we all know he's capable of doing, future Hall of Famer.
I agree. Tommaso Ciampa, dating back to his Ring of Honor days when he was just a mid Carter, was fantastic in the ring. They bring him into NXT. He finally starts speaking. Him and Johnny Gargano have a great tag team. They have the meltdown breakup after 2 years of teaming with each other. A great series of matches that were better than each one. And then he finally started to talk on such a level that was storytelling. It was what it's supposed to be. And I commend whether it's Triple H or whoever's on that damn creative team now, who finally got their head out of their ass and said, you know what, give Champa a chance, let AJ put him over, let Ziggler put him over earlier in the night, let him fight Lashley. I hope what I'm hoping, Mark, is that we get at least a 20-minute match next week when he fights Lashley, because if they're just going to let Lashley burn through him, well then holy hell, why do this then? You know what I mean? It makes no sense.
The logic that the company was being ran with before was, and I guess it was, well, we're just gonna put it out because we've been the conglomerate on wrestling
Right.
for so long that it don't matter what we put out, people are gonna tune in. And then when they started seeing that decrease in ratings, they were just throwing shit at the wall to see what stuck.
Right.
Now there'll be methodology to it.
I hope so. I know you hope so. I know Nate Maxton hopes so. And fans, if there's anything that you've been enjoying about Monday Night Raw, go ahead and hit up the Facebook page, the We Can't Wrestle podcast, and let us know what it is you've been enjoying so far. Is it the returns? Is it the storytelling? Or is it just the wrestling in general that has been going on already with the last couple of weeks of Monday Night Raw and what we saw at SummerSlam? Quick hit number 3. And this is one that I'm going to make me go on a tirade. So I'm going to let you talk first, and then I'll say whatever I got to say. Vince Russo accuses Triple H of booking for the Mark fans and says that Seth Rollins and Montez Ford was a trash match.
Well, this is coming from the creator of the Brawl for All. That's all I have to
Okay,
say.
so you're going to throw me under the bus and make me go off. Okay, here we
No,
go
no,
then.
no. Like I'll comment more on it. I was just
No,
basically
I
making
agree
the
with
rib
you.
on that one.
No, I
But
agree with you.
like Vince Russo, shut the fuck up. There's a reason why
Thank you.
you're not in that position,
Right. You know
because
this.
you're gonna do some retarded shit that's risque, and the networks will all start pulling out from the product. So shut your mouth.
This is the same man who last week said that if Stephanie McMahon or Tony Khan called him to come be their head booker, he would say no because he doesn't want to work for them. He needs to keep his opinions to himself because, in addition to being the creator of the Brawl for All, Vince Russo, you gave us Judy Bagwell on a pole and Viagra on a pole featuring Shane Douglas and Ric Flair, two of the greatest in this business that have ever done it. You made so many guys turn face and turn heel that by the time they actually turned back around, their ass was where their head should be. You have done nothing but been a cancer to this business and have ruined everything you ever helped to create in the Attitude Era. Montez Ford and Seth Rollins was a fantastic matchup that was worthy of a pay per view. It made Montez Ford look like $1 million. And Seth Rollins is probably the best thing in the WWE right now without a belt around his waist. You understand? So for Vince
Right.
Russo to say that that was trash booking and only for the Mark fans, Vince Russo, you're a mark because you don't know what a mark fan actually is. Okay? I know personally, I've been watching this business for 30 years. Okay? I was 9 years old when I first started watching wrestling. And I marked out seeing the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. I mark out when somebody returns that deserves to be back in this business. I mark out when there's a moment that deserves my respect. You, on the other hand, Vince Russo, don't have any respect and don't deserve any respect. And I know you're not listening, but if someone ever tells you that I said this about you, in the words of my friend Aaron Maxon, Vince Russo, sit on a dick and go fuck yourself. Number four, Tony Khan promotes Sanjay Dutt, QT Marshall, Pat Buck, and Tony Schiavone to a talent relations team to help deal with the backstage, fallout from different wrestlers who need to speak to him directly, and hires Madison Raines as a coach for the women's division. Now, I like this because let's face it, Tony Khan has not been in the wrestling game that long, doesn't know how to talk to wrestlers the way that a wrestler knows how to talk to wrestlers, to actually speak their language. We all know what happened with John Grisham and a couple of these other guys saying Tony's never around. So I think having guys that have been in the business as long as a Pat Buck or a Sanjay Dutt or a Tony Schiavone will help mediate that and maybe get the right words said and get a better understanding of what these guys want so Tony Khan can deliver.
I agree. But my biggest, I, I guess I'm kind of already gonna do a grind my gears because
Go right ahead.
my biggest problem with Tony Khan is he kind of works from a fan's perspective.
Right,
Like you, you got to at the same time be the puppet masters, but know your fans and know what they want to see. Don't book your buddy to go over just because you like the guy.
right. I agree with that. I think Nate Maxon puts it the best possible way, Mark. Tony Khan is like a figure collector or a child bringing his figures out to play every week. You know what I mean? He
Hmm.
picks out his favorites, puts them on the table, and then decides who's going to do what. And that's the way that he gets his booking done. But I think with a guy like Tony Schiavone, who knows how to, actually put a show together because he's been around it so long, Sanjay Dutt and Pat Buck. I've met Pat Buck 20 times. Great guy, great booker. And QT Marshall, who when he's not wrestling is actually a decent backstage hand. Um, I think they're going to be able to get the job done for the most part. I'm not saying they're going to be, like the Stooges, Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, or even like the guys that are back there now. But I think they'll be able to help guys get their point across to Tony a little bit better, and maybe we won't see so much gushing and hugs and things like that. You know, never know.
Lord.
Someone, I don't know if you listened to last week's show, but Nate Maxon said that someone left a comment that the reason the Ring of Honor World Title match went on so quickly and at first was because Tony Khan couldn't wait to hug Cesaro.
Yeah. Is that all your quick hits, or
I got
what
one more
number we on?
left. One
All
more
right.
left. Number five. At the ending of SmackDown, we saw the return of Karrion Kross and Scarlett to the WWE. Both were very unjustly fired a few months back. They floundered. Cross had a tryout with AEW. Then he went to the Control Your Narrative group with EC3 and Braun Strowman. We saw him on the Ric Flair's last match telecast. Congratulations. Karrion Cross is one of my favorite big men in the business right now, and he deserves to be back. And Scarlett Bordeaux is a smoke show, so she deserves to be back as well.
Yeah, all them budget cuts and all that. It's funny that now that Vince is gone, they can find the money that hey, we're gonna pay you
Well,
guys, and it's gonna be lucrative. Come on,
well, hey, $14 million of hush money kind of got brought back out, so you know.
right?
But as a whole, SmackDown was good as well. Saw a good woman's. I guess it was a battle royal, or like I don't know, a turmoil match where once you pinned your opponent, another one came out. Shayna Baszler won it. It's nice to see her get a small push and be challenging Liv Morgan for the title. Liv Morgan almost got booed out of the damn arena during SmackDown because the fans are not buying her as champion right now. A lot of great matches though. That's what I'm enjoying. We're seeing storylines develop. A storyline is now developing with Sami Zayn being thrown out of the bloodline, even though he was never really in it. Um, I think SmackDown was a solid show as well this week. One thing I will say though, and I put this out on Facebook earlier today before we recorded, Triple H is bringing all of his NXT children home, and I like that.
Yeah.
So it's enjoyable to
Yeah,
watch.
well, I mean, he knows how to use them because he helped build them.
Right, and they trust him, so he knows if they know if he tells them something, he's gonna actually do it.
I'm gonna throw a bonus quick hit in there.
Go right ahead.
Uh, the Tate brothers,
Yes,
the Tate brothers have signed with Ring of Honor,
yes, they have. Congratulations to those two young men. They do deserve it.
and I think that's one you're definitely gonna want to watch because
Oh yeah,
they they'll probably pop up on a Dynamite also.
a Dynamite or a Rampage, we might see them on a Dark. We're gonna definitely get exposure to them before Ring of Honor has a TV deal or something that they can be broadcasted on.
Right.
It's nice to see young talent finally getting signed. The only problem I have with all the signings is the AEW roster is now bloated like the WWE roster was.
Right.
And the last thing we want is to see budget cuts from AEW if need be, because then
Well, I mean, his name's
where the hell do
Khan.
these guys go? Yeah, exactly.
Well,
His
I
name is
mean,
Khan.
too, like all the controversy they're talking about is that they got a lot of contracts that are
Coming
fixing to
up.
be coming
Yep.
up,
Yep.
and Tony, he just acts like if he doesn't like the person, he's just gonna, or he don't feel like it's gonna be lucrative for them to continue forward.
Right. They
He's
don't
just
even
gonna let
talk
it
about
run
it.
out. But
Right.
like, at least talk about it with them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, okay, if we're gonna renew this contract, uh, what are we gonna do?
Right. Right.
Because I mean,
You
he's
got
already given them a lot of creative freedom.
exactly. And maybe he needs to pull back on the creative freedom a little bit and get a creative team going that'll put together a decent show. And this way he could let them relax a little more. Because you got guys going out there with no game plan and they're just thinking, okay, if I fly off the top rope 72 times, someone's liable to pop. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but I'm happy to hear that I'm happy to watch, hear, and see that wrestling is getting back into a better groove and is watchable again. Because these are the first couple of Raws I've watched March since Mania, and I'm enjoying them again.
yeah. I mean, they got something you can sink your teeth into.
Exactly.
It's
So,
not just, it's not just you know useless matches and stuff like that. Like They're putting shit together and building something,
Right, right.
which
Long
is
term
how it's
booking is
supposed
the
to be.
key. Long term booking is the key, as we know. Best long term booking I've seen is Rhea Ripley and Rey Mysterio's daughter battling over Buddy Murphy. That'll be. So, with quick hits done, let's get into our first show review, and it is NXT 2.0. Episode begins, and we go straight to the ring, which is my absolute favorite way to go to start a show. Mark is go right to the ring. There's no reason for a
Yep.
cheap plug or anything, and it's to crown the new set of women's tag team champions over on NXT. We've got Chance and Carter taking on Leon and Faraz, taking on Ivy Niles and Tatum Paxley, taking on Toxic Attraction. And out of my favorite of the four, it's got to be Toxic Attraction. What do you think, Mark?
Well, this is my comment was is that Rose and Leon, Carter and Chance, all like my favorite out of all of these two. I really like the Ivy Now and Tatum Paxley
I agree.
combination, but Rose and Leon cannot be overlooked in this match. Like they showed you something early on, even though they were the first ones gone. And after that athletic display, I was really wanting to see more of them.
Right.
And
All
then
I've
they were
all
gone.
all I've seen of them before this is them dancing. You know what I mean? They were pulling
Right.
like their best chica moves. You know what I mean? But I have to say this was a really good match, and that surprised me honestly. One makeshift team, two bocce teams, and then Toxic Attraction. It made me think it was going to be bad, but it wasn't, Mark. It really
No,
wasn't. They surprised me through the entire matchup. You know what I mean? All four teams did a fantastic job with high flying moves. You mentioned Leon and
that
Faraz. I think they should have actually stayed in the match a little longer because, in my
yes.
opinion, Ivy Nile and Paxley have only been together for 2 weeks. So if you would have had them lose quickly, it would have made more sense.
Is it just me though? Is yeah, Tatum or Tatum, however you say that, Paxley. Is that Britt Baker's doppelganger?
She looks like it. She definitely looks like it. In
But
the
that
end,
tag team finisher was
oh yeah.
awesome.
One of my notes was it was a crash style throughout the entire match, but that's not a bad thing. It was like 8 cars hitting each other at one time, but they made it work. You know what I mean? There was no sloppiness, there was no botches, which I was surprised about. You know what I mean? And then at the end, Carter and Chance, who I nicknamed them Team Botch a long time ago. They hit their finisher crisply, and they became the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Your winners and new Tag Team Champions,
I didn't
Carter
hate
and
it.
Chance. I didn't hate it either
I,
because they have a following.
right,
You know,
and that finisher was like, if
yeah,
you're gonna end the match, that's a hell of a way to do it.
they finally hit it crisply. I'm used to them falling down and almost killing each other when they do it. They actually finally nailed it. You know, and that's a move straight out of the Motor City Machine Guns playbook. So that was great to see. You know what I mean? And they gave them a decent amount of time. They went 15 minutes. I would like them to go a little more, but we know it's a TV match, so obviously they got to save a little bit. But damn good opening match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
We then hear from the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, Briggs and Jensen. They got interrupted by Joe Gacy and the Schism, who are, as we know, the grizzled young veterans, now in a totally indifferent change of character. Gacy got into Jensen's head. Now, here's something I didn't know. I didn't know that Jensen was a second generation superstar, and I haven't been able to find out who his dad was.
Right. I'll have to research that also.
Yes.
Um, something really funny though is my notes on that was that the Briggs and Jensen promo was interrupted by Gacy, Snidely Whiplash, and
Right.
Igor.
Right. Perfectly. They, I liked them better as the grizzled young veterans because they had this mean look to them, and now they just look like two guys who went off with a buzzer and a straight razor.
If
You
you
know,
can tell me with a straight face that the bald one does not the I guess taking the spot of Harlan, you know.
I guess so.
But the bald, if you could tell me with a straight face that he doesn't look like Igor.
No, you're spot on, man. You're spot on. Uh, Jensen challenges Gacy to a match later. He says, "No problem. I'm down for it. You're going to help me make my point to Cameron Grimes." And we have a match between them later. Then we go in the ring, and it's Carmelo Hayes, and he's out celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday, Carmelo Hayes. He issues an open challenge for the NXT North American title. And this, by far, I think, was my favorite. This was my favorite moment of NXT because Giovanni Vinci is about to answer the challenge, and then Nathan Frazier goes blowing by and hits the ring, and the bell rings. I'm like, what the fuck just
Well,
happened?
he said the next person in
Right,
this ring.
right.
That was a good swerve.
It was, it was. Giovanni just sitting there like, what am I supposed to do now? I was ready for a match,
You
you
know,
know.
a lot of times they overuse the comedy, but
No, this
that
was perfect.
that was perfectly executed.
We go to the ring, so it's Hayes versus Frazier, and Nathan Frazier's a newcomer from NXT UK. He's done a lot already in his short time there. Good back and forth encounter in their first time meeting. A lot of good chemistry. Frazier showed the champion that he was a threat and almost had Hayes beat a couple of times here, Mark. But
Yep.
the thing I love about Carmelo Hayes is he's never actually down. This guy takes a beating, pops back up, and then throws you for a loop, and it's like, okay, let's see what he's got.
My notes was that it was a purely athletic display, physical and high flying.
Yes, it was not. Um, these two guys mixed perfectly together because their styles complemented each other. Um, and Hayes fought back, caught Frazier off guard on the outside. Carmelo then comes back inside and hits his finisher and gets the win in 8 minutes. Very good match, but short. I would have liked them to gotten 15 minutes here too.
Well, I didn't have a problem with the length of it because you knew they were going to do that post match beatdown stuff.
Right.
Like he just stole the opportunity from him. This begins the story. So
Yeah, but see, my problem with that is that means that Giovanni will not be getting a title shot anytime soon.
now
You know what I
him and
mean?
Frazier will probably work a program and then lead
Right.
up to possibly one of them again or even the triple threat of those three.
Right. But it's nice to see some new challengers for Hayes. Not that I don't like Cameron Grimes, but I think Cameron has been in that picture too much, and he needs a bit of a change in regards to his character and storytelling right now.
Right.
We then go to hype video for post match, as we said. Giovanni attacks Frazier for taking his title shot, and then we get a look at JD McDowell and Braun Breaker coming to the ring for their face to face. And I have to say, when we get into that segment, it was actually a pretty damn good segment between those two. Then we get a hype video for Solo Sequoia and Von Wagner later on tonight in a street fight. That should be a fantastic matchup with those two bruisers. Then we go back inside the ring, and we got Wade Barrett, and he's set to interview JD McDonagh and Braun Breaker. Now, I don't know why they changed JD's name in NXT
It's
UK. He was
Jordan
going by
Devlin.
some right. He was Jordan Devlin,
Right.
but I guess because he lost that loser leaves NXT UK match, maybe he needed a new name. You know what I mean? But he's still a fantastic artist in the ring, in my opinion.
Like I enjoyed the back and forth talking,
Right.
but the end part where he signed in blood, I felt like it was ripping off the Bray Wyatt signing in blood almost.
Well, yeah,
Like
yeah,
you got this obvious, size difference in Devlin and Breaker because Breaker's a big son of a bitch.
yes,
And I mean, I understand that too. It was like he's trying to get in his opponent's head,
and he looked like he
but
did.
Yeah, it was different, but I mean, long as they continue having Braun on top after this, I'm
Right.
good with it.
My only see, this is where I will give you that I have a small problem. They've got Axiom, who's a mathematician luchador, JD McDonough, who supposedly knows every part of the human body and how to break it correctly. Then they've got that other girl. I forgot her name. We're gonna hold on. I'll tell you her name in 1 second. But there's that girl who like looks at people and tells you their character traits and all that and whatnot. Where's her name? Well, whatever the case may be, they're giving these people too much of a character that is like, why are you a brainiac but you're a wrestler? You get my drift. Like if you're that great of a mathematician, why did you decide to don a mask and become a wrestler? You know what I mean? Why are
Well,
you
I
not a
mean,
chiropractor? Why are you not this? Why are you? You know what I mean?
you,
It's
you
too
didn't do the
crazy.
math that this business is not good for your body.
Right, right. It's a little weird, but JD signing in blood I thought was cool because we haven't had that in a while. And Braun Breaker's facial expressions told the story more than anything. Like he was horrified by it. Um, Good segment, and I can't wait to see them in the ring because that's going to be a total different mix of styles. The
Yeah,
brawler Braun Breaker versus the what looks to be, he's an aerial artist, but he also can get it done inside the on the mat. So it's going to be nice to see what those two guys could do against one another.
right.
Apollo Crews then approaches the Creed brothers, gives them some advice. They exchange respect, and Apollo walks off. Damon Kemp lets the Creeds know that Roderick Strong won't be there until later. We shifted to Toxic Attraction, throwing a fit backstage. Mandy Rose trying to calm them down. And then Mandy Rose's music hits and she's ready for her match. Now, I like Apollo Crews back in NXT, but I don't like him as the wily veteran trying to help everybody out because, as we both know, Apollo Crews hasn't been there that much longer than some of the people that are in NXT.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I would have liked AJ Styles for this role more. You know what I mean? A 40, a 20, 30-year veteran rather than Apollo Crews, but he's getting the job done. That's fine. The Toxic Attraction fit was hysterical, though. I
yeah.
likened it to
Like
seeing my
when they
daughters
kept
freak
kicking
out.
that gate
Yeah.
on the, I was like, they're doing it. Like it was believable because it makes that sound effect and it's going to
Right.
register with people.
But it made me laugh because, like I said, I likened it to seeing my two daughters throw a fit because I told them they couldn't do anything. I was like, okay, they're really acting like spoiled brats right now. It's perfect for their characters.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and and then you got Mandy. I knew, and she comes in. I knew they were going to cheat. Well, why weren't you out there to help them, motherfucker? That's your
Right.
team.
Right. So we go to the ring. It's Mandy Rose taking on Saraya, or as I like to call her, female Harry Potter. This was decent, but nothing great. Saraya tried to throw a couple of surprises at Mandy Rose, but the champion didn't fall for it. Rose threw Saraya around the ring, hit her finisher, and got the win in 7 minutes. In my opinion, it should have been 5 minutes, but Rose looked great, and Saraya's hype was kind of gone.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of Rio from AEW a little bit.
Yeah, I could agree with that. The fans just don't know what to think of her anymore.
No,
But here's
and
my problem with when they bring in these Japanese women to NXT. They always make them this undefeated monster for months on end. Then when they finally lose, it's like they crumble down and break, and they can't get back from it. Like they did that with Io Shirai until she turned heel. You know what I mean? They did it with Asuka. They did it with so many of these girls that it's like, okay, we get the formula, but you need to change it now. We need a different way to go with them.
well, I mean, too, I understand that you need Mandy Rose to have a strong showing going into that
Oh, of
next
course,
event. You know what I'm saying? But
of course.
like, I don't know. You can't make her the next Io Shirai because she don't have that edge to her. It's
No, she
like
doesn't.
if you look at the whole well, I'll say costume or outfit or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it it's like stale.
It's yes.
It's
It's
nothing
getting
vibrant about the character to me.
No, and then all they did to change it was they made her Harry Potter, and it's like, who cares about this? A 5-year-old kid? You know what I mean? I have friends who are in their 40s that love Harry Potter, but if I told them, hey, there's a wrestler who's like Harry Potter right now, they'd probably look at me and say, so? You know what I mean?
Listen, if I tell Angie that,
Right?
she'll look at it and then she'll be like, "Well, I want to see it," and then I show her and she's gonna be like, "No, she needs to
No.
stop."
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Post match, Mandy attacks Saraya to get some payback from a few months ago when Saraya injured Mandy accidentally. Zoe Starks makes the save. Zoe takes Rose out and sends a message just 2 weeks before Heatwave. I like the card for Heatwave so far, but it's making me question, are they making every NXT show like a Night of Champions or a Clash of the Champions in that every title gets defended?
Right?
You know what I mean? Maybe they should pull back sometimes with the tag titles or something because too many title matches is overkill,
Yeah.
you know. And then you don't give anybody else that's on the card a chance to be on the card because well no, we need the guys that are fighting for the titles on the card,
Right.
you know. I don't know, but it might just be me. We get a vignette hyping Tiffany Stratton. This was done to put over her continued feud with Wendy Chu, which I'm not thrilled about, Mark. I got to be honest with you. Tiffany
No.
Stratton is, to me, just like Mandy Rose, just like the Bella Twins was, that spoiled brat millionaire girl. You know what I mean? You
Right.
already got Sasha Banks, who's the boss, and this, glitzy glamour girl. Why did we need Tiffany Stratton too? You know, and Wendy Chu, they killed that character by turning her from the monster that she was when she was with Xia Li and Koma, whatever the guy's name was, the Japanese guy, to now a girl who falls asleep every couple minutes in the ring.
Right. So it's like essentially putting MJF versus Orange Cassidy, except for a lot less entertaining.
Well, you know what? I never thought of it like that, but yeah, I agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there. We then go to Mackenzie, who interviews Axiom, and he gets interrupted by Duke Hudson. Duke calls Axiom a nerd and beats his ass around the arena. They spill into the arena, and apparently now we have a match because Axiom didn't like his first ass whipping. He wanted another one. So we've got the mathematician versus the former card player turned badass who never seems to win a match, but that's fine. Ref rolls in. Hudson continues the beating, sets up for the Razor's Edge, but Axiom reverses it. Axiom hits his finisher and gets the win in 3 minutes. Now, this is my note. What the fuck is the point of this? How do you start out with a great brawl and end it in 3 minutes with this piece of crap match?
Well, I mean, you can still see shades of the old regime in as far as booking stuff. Like you can tell that
Right.
NXT is not all hunter for the plain simple fact. It's kind of like the whole 1 2 3 Kid and Razor Ramon thing.
Yeah, but if you recall, when 1 2 3 Kid won, it was not a 3 minute match. It was the
Right,
Razor actually had a 10 minute match with him and toyed with him. I would have liked that better. And then we go to next week with Hudson pulling the Razor move. I want a rematch. You shouldn't have beat. You know what I mean? It
right.
just
But
you know.
but Archie, you want to believe? So damn it, he crunched the numbers and was able to pull off an upset in 3 minutes.
I guess that's a great match. I need to have him do my books for me then. Mackenzie interviews Wesley, who is about done with Trick Williams. He says that Trick is trying to say he's the next Muhammad Ali and that he's done with it all. And he challenges Trick to a match next week. And he wants it to be a rounds match. He says Trick could be the boxer if he wants and have his gloves, and Wes will wrestle. Um, I liked Wesley when he was with the Rascals and when he was with, Nash Carter before Nash got held up about being an abuser and all that. But I don't want to see him fight Trick Williams anymore. I want him to like fight for a cruiserweight title or something like that.
Right. With that whole thing, my biggest problem is okay, he's gonna wrestle and let Trick box.
Right.
If it's a rounds match, how the fuck are you gonna score points with wrestling?
Right. Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
I
it
agree.
doesn't even seem like a actual realistic concept.
Right. Exactly. So is it more tailored after Trick and he's going to win, or is Wesley going to like roll him up in the third round for a quick 1, 2, 3 and then run off? And you know what I mean? It's a little convoluted right now. I kind of hope they
But
fix it, but I doubt they will.
yeah, like I mean, the whole Ali reference and stuff I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought
Like
that was
for
great
the
seeing the side by
nostalgia
side
of
pictures.
that.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be that direction that they're going with that, it's not entertaining.
No, I agree. We go to our NXT tag team title matchup, and we got the Creeds taking on Tony D and Stacks. Incredible tag match. The chemistry was perfect with all four guys. The Creeds are a mix, in my opinion, of the Steiner brothers and the LOD, with that they have college background but a smash mouth fighting style. Tony D may be corny, but he can go, and Stacks has begun to come up in the ring a little bit. Tony had the upper hand, was about to use his tire iron, but Santos Escobar, who I'm happy, made his return and surprised him with the brass knuckles. The Creeds hit their finisher, get the win in 12 minutes. Very good match, and I was glad to see Escobar finally return.
Yes, I pop for that. And is it just me? Is like Escobar kind of NXT's Eddie Guerrero,
I agree. I agree. And I like that they wear that LWD shirt that looks like an LWO shirt. You
right?
know what I mean? And I have to say, he got me to enjoy Joaquin Wild and Mendoza's matches because they're with him. And even though I don't like Electra Lopez that much, when she's by his side, it makes it a little better.
Yeah,
So,
and
uh,
I enjoy the Creed brothers, and I just
oh
hope
yeah,
too that the thing that changes also is when they get called up to the main roster, they don't have to change their stinking name.
I agree with that. I agree with that
You've already
100%.
established that character with the fans. When you bring them
Right.
to the main roster, they're gonna pop for that.
And I'm kind of hoping that the fallout with Roderick Strong happens a little sooner because let's face it, Roddy is bringing them down, actually. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? All the stupid fighting and promos Roddy cuts and everything. You could tell Roderick Strong really doesn't want to be there that much anymore. You know what I mean? But these guys actually do. Them and Damon Kemp are a perfect threesome. They don't need Roderick Strong in there in any way, shape, or form anymore.
right. And you know the tag team division on the mainstay shows like SmackDown and Raw
It's
have,
lacking,
it's lackluster. So you need
right?
to revamp that and give it a breath of
I
fresh air.
agree.
So go ahead and call up the Creed brothers.
I agree. We get a highlight package of Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. They have a ton of history, and Perez wants a match at Heatwave. Mackenzie is shown interviewing Cora afterwards, and Cora rejects the challenge and says she's moved on. Mandy Rose then walks in and says she wants Cora to take out Zoe Starks, and then this way Cora can get the shot at Mandy at Heatwave. Jade says she'll think about it. Now, I'm liking the heel turn of Cora Jade, even though I think it happened a little too quickly. But I don't like that they haven't changed her that much. Like, if you're a badass, stop riding the skateboard, stop wearing the hat backwards. You know what I mean? Change your dressing style a little bit. I'm not saying for her to wear all black or, be menacing, but she still looks like a punk rocker and you're supposed to be a badass. You
Right.
know, we then get
Oh,
our second vignette to highlight the feud of Von Wagner and Solo Sikoa. These two are ready to tear each other up. Again, we head to Mackenzie, and she's with Caden and Carter, the new tag team champs. They give an emotional thanks to the fans and each other before Mackenzie sends us back to the arena. Like we said earlier, I think Caden and Carter were the right choice as tag team champions right now.
yeah.
They got a nice
It's
following with the NXT universe, and they're a decent tag team. If they can do what they did tonight on NXT versus in the future, I'm all for it.
well, I learned something this week. The
What's that?
WWE and NXT and all that, they have the universe, right?
Right.
AEW has the Galaxy.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that is another invention of the one and only Chris Jericho. We go back to the ring, and it's Joe Gacy versus Jensen. Quick start to a quick match, and Jensen has the upper hand. He's putting Gacy down, and almost had this match won. But Pretty Deadly hits the ring. This causes a distraction. Gacy hits his finisher, which for a man his size, Joe Gacy hitting a double handstand clothesline is like unbelievable to me. And gets the win in 3 minutes. Too quick of a match here, but I like that they made Joe Gacy get his point across. You know,
I always like since he's come. I like Joe Gacy the character,
right, right.
and I don't know why they always want to put him to have followers like he's the Bray Wyatt at NXT, like the
Well,
Wyatt family version.
right. I agree with that, and I think if they were ever to bring Bray Wyatt back, that would maybe be the opening that they needed is to maybe use Joe Gacy to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? In that, well, all my followers left me. There's only one thing I could do, and then he looks into
Summon the
the camera
Fiend.
and says, "Let him in," and out walks the Fiend. You know what I mean?
Right.
Post match, Gacy sends a message to Cameron Grimes, and we see Grimes shown backstage looking very distraught. But I don't see Cameron Grimes joining Joe Gacy. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's right for Cameron's character.
No, because I mean, on one hand, you got this psychopath versus basically a comedy routine guy
Right,
for money.
right. I think Grimes should fight Gacy, maybe get a tag team, which will probably end up being those couple of young guys that he was trying to mentor a couple of weeks ago, and maybe have a nice feud with Joe Gacy. It might work out to his benefit, but you never know. We then see Tony D in his locker room. And he's looking pissed. Santos Escobar calls him, and I swear, Mark, it sounded like they were in the same room while they were talking to each other on the phone. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It was really bad editing. They agree that they need to have one final match after exchanging pleasantries with one another and end this. But Tony D is not going to tell us where this match is going to take place yet. So I get a feeling we might see a cinematic match between the two of them a little bit.
I might not hate it just based
Right,
on how they execute it, but I
right.
really enjoyed that back and forth between them two.
Oh, definitely, definitely. They both know how to talk. They both know how to deliver. We then go to the ring for Alba Fire taking on my least favorite member of the NXT roster, Lash Legend. It's weird because this is the second match to start during the commercial break on a split screen. Legend used her height advantage and power to take an early lead, but Alba fought back. Lash tried to use Alba's bat, but Fire ducked, hit her gory special, and swanton to get the win in 6 minutes. It was actually a decent match this week between these two, but that was mainly because of Alba Fire. Um, I don't know though. It's weird. This, like I said, it's the second match that started during the commercial break in a split screen. Why would they do that?
Yeah, that especially like during the entrances.
Right. You
Like,
know, it's killing the match,
but
in my opinion.
my thing, this is actually the first Alba Fire match I've seen.
Ever?
So, yeah,
Even when she was Kylie Ray? Wow.
that was Kylie Ray.
Yeah.
Well, there's too many of these people for me to daggone remember all of them. So,
Outside, Trick and Carmelo help three beauties fix their car. I'm wondering if this is going somewhere, and if we're going to find
like
out that
it's a
they,
setup.
yeah, I'm because it was too. Look, I'm going to be honest. I won't mince words. It kind of looked like a porn type of thing. You know what I mean? Like it was going to, but yet it ended, and it was like, okay, either somebody beat the hell out of them afterwards, or these three girls. It just didn't seem kosher.
Right.
We then hear from Nikita Lyons, and she doesn't know how to cut a promo, in my opinion. Her only thing going for her, she's got a big ass.
Yeah,
She's pissed.
well, and then she kind of went ghetto with it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
We already got
uh,
Lash Legend who goes ghetto. Why are you going ghetto too? You know what I mean?
right. Are y'all gonna be in a tag team or something?
No, because they feuded already, so it makes no
Right.
sense.
Like,
But she's
all
pissed
right,
that
y'all.
she's pissed though that Kiana James was talking badly about her, and I guess that makes sense. But I mean, why didn't they have a match then? So we're just going to get back and forth promos between them. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
It it just seems to me that they took all the new women that came in and went, okay, we're going to make you this, we're going to make you that, but we want to bring you on TV, but we really don't want you to wrestle that much because we know you can't wrestle yet. So we're going to just have you do promos, which you suck at anyway. So yeah, you know what I mean?
well, I mean, she's the opposite of that them vignettes we've been getting of the Tiffany Stratton.
Right. Tiffany can actually cut a promo and actually can
Right,
wrestle.
right.
It's just a bad character for her, but whatever. It's main event time, Mark. Solo Sequoia taking on Von Wagner. A true war between two impressive fighters, in my opinion. No one was safe, whether they were outside or inside the ring. We saw chairs, tables, and ring steps used. That rock bottom on the ring steps was sick. That Solo did
Yes,
to Vaughn. Wagner tried to come back, but Solo put him on the announcer's table and hit a top rope splash through it and gets the win in 14 minutes. In my opinion, this was the payoff we needed because it was an awesome main event and
we
it
ended
kind of
on a
made
high
both.
note.
Yeah, we ended on a high note, but it also made both guys look good because Vaughn can always say, "Well, hey, you used weapons against me. I didn't use any weapons. I'm a fighter. I don't need that. You know what I mean?" But
I'll
it
say
just
this though,
go ahead.
I'm a big fan of Solo.
Yes,
Like that's the ooze with the juice.
right, right. He, in my opinion, is what the Usos should be right now, but instead they're chilling with Roman. You know what I mean? And there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that, but you know what I mean. They're Roman's second hands versus being off on their own.
If they decide that they call Solo up, that would be the perfect way to end Roman's
I
reign.
agree. I agree. All in all, though, was a good show. Couple of downers, but and quick matches, but a lot more good in my opinion. Giving this week's NXT a 4 out of 5 because I did enjoy it. What about you?
Uh, I will say a I'll put it at 3.5 just
Okay,
because I got to see how it progresses.
I understand. I get where you're coming from. Still a good score though. It's a passing grade. Um, we now move on to AEW Dynamite. Tony Khan's baby. Just like NXT, Mark, we start right by going to the ring for our opening match, and it is Jay Lethal versus Orange Cassidy. Another good opener with both guys showing off and getting the crowd hyped. Cassidy used his normal hand and pocket moveset, but Lethal wasn't having it. Lethal fought back and punished Cassidy for a bit. Cassidy tried to take Lethal out, but Lethal reversed the orange punch and hit the lethal injection to get the win in 13 minutes. Good amount of time given. Great matchup. Good opener,
Yeah, there was a few parts where they messed up, but
of course.
right. But I enjoy face Jay Lethal better than the heel Jay
I
Lethal.
agree. I agree 100%.
Um, and he doesn't need Sanjay to speak for him.
Right.
I understand him and Sanjay are friends, but damn, let Sanjay get that big guy over by himself.
Right. Exactly. But if I guess I feel if they did that, it would look like Davari with the Great Khali. You know what I mean? So maybe they need Lethal for a little bit of contrast. But I get what you're saying. I think Lethal should be left on his own. He does he gets it done in the ring and he gets it done on the mic. Why have him have a mouthpiece and a giant?
Right.
So post match, Lethal calls out Wardlow and is about to injure Cassidy, but the best friends and Wardlow make the save. Dutt issued a challenge for the TNT title for Battle of the Belts 3, and Wardlow accepted. Great opening segment. I like Wardlow, but it seems like since he won the TNT title, he hasn't defended it. So if his first defense is against Jay Lethal, I'm all for it.
I loved when the best friends come out on each other's shoulders.
Yeah, yeah.
That was hilarious. Um, as far as Wardlow, I see he's got mic skills,
Right,
and that whole Wardlow, it all ends the same. Wardlow whoop that ass.
right.
I popped for it. I'm not gonna lie.
We see highlights from last week with Hook winning the FTW title. Happy for him and what's to come. Kid deserves a push. He's actually progressing to be a good talent in the ring.
Right.
He ain't his daddy yet, but he'll get there.
No, but the fan reaction for him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It
You get
makes.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Like
don't
when he
get it.
comes out, people are cheering. So
I don't get it. I was there live for an AEW show, and when Hook's music started, these fans got up and cheered like The Rock just returned, and I was like, "Wow, this kid is over."
right.
So back inside the arena, we get the return of the Undisputed Elite with Adam Cole. Cole lets us know that he and Kyle Riley are not cleared to wrestle yet. Then why are you here? Bobby Fish is. He then speaks of loyalty and the trios tournament. He lets the Young Bucks know that if he and Kyle aren't cleared to wrestle, that the Bucks don't choose Bobby Fish, then they won't be in the trios tournament or physically capable. Red Dragon then attacked the Bucks, and they've been thrown out of the Undisputed Elite. They place a chair over Matt Jackson's neck, but before they can do damage, Adam Page makes the save wearing butterfly jeans. Not butterfly guys, there were butterflies on this man's jeans, I swear to God.
Me too. And come out to like, what the hell?
What is he wearing?
That's not cowboy.
No, that's not cowboy shit. What a segment though. Page offers his hand to Matt and Nick, and Matt accepts. And I'm excited for this because the Bucks and Hangman were a great tag team, 6-man tag team. But again, I don't get if you and Kyle aren't prepared to come back yet. Why
Where's
didn't
that
you
leave fish?
stay? Well, why didn't you let Bobby come back and him ask about being in the trios tournament with them, have the Bucks turn him down, join Adam Page, and then when you guys can wrestle healthy and get back, that leads to the feud actually starting. Because now
Right.
we won't see Adam or Kyle for a little while because they're still not cleared.
Well,
You know?
I seen it coming from a mile away.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just it was the language, the body language and stuff like that. How they came out. I I
yeah.
knew right then. Well, this is fixing to go south.
No, it just like you said, it was definitely a scene turn, but I just don't understand doing this, kicking them out when there is no undisputed elite right now. You know what I mean? You're not coming back to fight. So what are you doing
Right.
here? You wasted 20 minutes of people's time to tell us, nope, we're not coming back yet. You know what I mean? Which I'm
Yeah.
guaranteeing Adam Cole is kicking himself for leaving the WWE when he did. Because now with Triple H back in charge, he's like, damn, I might have been world champion someday. You know?
Yeah.
John Moxley cuts a promo backstage and tells us he doesn't care if it's Chris Jericho or Wheeler Yuta to win tonight's match and will be his next challenger. He says, friend or foe, it doesn't matter. He wants to paint the canvas with blood and put someone in the hospital, even if it's himself. Haven't been feeling Mox lately, Mark, or his title reign. Everything is blood and guts, blood and guts, blood and guts. And I get it. There are wrestlers who made their living on that. Mick Foley, Terry Funk. But they also had scientific matches too when they had to.
Right.
You know,
Which I mean, to me, him and Eddie Kingston's about laced with the same sort of gimmick,
right. Which is why I think they're pulling
but
Kingston back a little bit.
right. And you when we see Kingston, I later on, like I like the direction with him, the way that they're doing it right
Right,
now. So
right. But Mox is played out, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like they could, they. I would have rather them give the belt back to Jericho than Moxley right now because at least Chris has the JSA to get over. You know what I mean? As champion, Where with Moxley, yeah, he's in the Blackpool Combat Club, but Regal stays on commentary, and the rest of the club isn't even with Moxley. So, like, what the hell is going on here?
Right.
You know?
Like at least have them in the background when you're cutting your promo.
Right. Tony Schiavone is then shown interviewing Christian, and this was by far the funniest thing that happened all week. Jungle Boy pulls in at 100 miles an hour and almost runs them both over. And again, comedy for the sake of comedy, but it perfectly done. You know what I mean?
I thought it was gonna be one of them. I did it for the Rock moments.
Right, right. If that would have been Rikishi driving, I might have been laughing hysterically. We then go to women's tag team action. We've got Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. Or is it Tatum Paxley? We have to wait and get a closer up and see, make sure. Taking on Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. Great women's tag match here. All four women look strong and were attempting to show off and going and get their shot at Thunder Rosa again later on down the line. Hayter was the workhorse though, and Britt Baker was the antagonist as she worked throughout the match. Thunder Rosa hit a wicked-looking top rope drop kick to the back of Jamie Hayter's head, and I literally thought the woman's head was going to come off the way she nailed her right from the back of the neck.
Right,
Nice tandem offense between Baker and Jamie. Jamie hit her huge clothesline and got the win on Tony Storm at the 12-minute mark. Again, given enough time, told the story, and I enjoyed it. I thought they all did great.
right. My notes was there was some sloppiness, but there was also athleticism displayed. It
Right,
was tolerable. Uh, my biggest problem was that I see they crammed a lot of spots into it,
right,
and they made it blatantly obvious that they were just trying to get to the next spot.
yeah,
Because like when Britt went up to hit that move off the top rope, before she could even get situated, Britt already had her head underneath her.
right. No, there was a little bit of timing issues there, but
Right,
and this is not a knock at Thunder Rosa, but people have been saying this for the last couple months that both she and Tony Storm aren't always doing what's right in the ring. It's almost like they're sandbagging. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it does seem like it comes up a lot during the Thunder Rosa matches.
right. What are you, female Orange Cassidy?
Right, exactly. She was even wearing a sandbag since 2012 shirt. You know what I
Right.
mean? That makes it even worse. So, we then hear from Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti about their marriage coming up, their wedding. But Eddie Kingston interrupts the video and he delivers the line of the year when he says, "Hey Sammy, you're getting married? Nobody cares." That popped me. It was like, yes, thank you, Eddie, for saying what we were all thinking. You know?
Yeah, I definitely I got a good chuckle out of that.
Eddie then challenges Sammy to a match. He says, once you get back from your wedding, look in your mail, find the contract, and sign it. He wants a match at All Out with Sammy Guevara. I mean, at All In, excuse me. And I hope it happens because I think that would be a great contrast in style in again, the brawler versus the high flyer. But Sammy Guevara ain't actually worried about getting hurt, so he's willing to do whatever he has to do. This is my problem, though, Mark. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, Sammy Guevara got involved in the match between Jericho and Kingston, the barbed wire everywhere match, right?
Right,
But didn't Eddie throw Sammy off of a cage 2 weeks earlier and almost murder him?
right.
You know what I mean? So at one point, I want a receipt. I got to get you back, but you killed him. It was murder.
Well,
It
I
just,
mean,
but
like you said, Guevara's not scared,
nope.
and he's got one of the best ladder spots
Oh yeah.
in recent wrestling.
I agree, and I think they're going to do a fantastic job against each other.
Oh yeah,
Highlights of Hobbs turning on Starks is next, and then Taz tells us live that Team Taz has been disbanded, but that he knows and wishes Starks, Hobbs, and Hook all the best because he knows they will do great on their own. We then go to the ring for Hobbs versus Jones, and this was a 2 minute squash match, and it was rightfully so. Hobbs destroyed Jones and got the win after a devastating finisher. In my mind, Mark, Powerhouse Hobbs needed to be on his own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe with Taz as his manager, but he didn't need the Team Taz thing behind him anymore.
I would have liked to seen them have, more of a grit and nail biter of a match and be exhausted as
Well,
hell. Then have Starks do his run in
right,
and
right,
make it look like he's actually a legitimate threat to Hobbs instead of, he just squashes the shit out of him and Hobbs is still fresh
right,
and boom, here comes Starks.
right. Because Ricky hits the ring and tried to get some revenge, but Hobbs took a couple of shots and then just laid Ricky out. Like, I ain't in the mood for you, buddy. You know what I
So I mean,
mean?
what would be the sense of even wanting to see that next match? Then you know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
we just know he's gonna whoop his ass.
right. And I'm more than sure that they're going to put Ricky down as the underdog and have him get his ass kicked a couple of times and maybe have Ricky finally get the big win. But I got to be honest. I think Ricky should be fighting for the TNT title, or you know what I mean, doing because Ricky Starks is a star.
Right,
He was in the NWA, and I think he will be in AEW. So he doesn't need a feud with Hobbs. I think they should have just disbanded the team and let everybody go their separate ways, sort of like the
right.
Flock did. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Remember when the Flock broke up and nobody dealt with each other anymore? You know, but it's Ricky, so he's going to do whatever he wants. A vignette for Miro and his problems with House of Black airs next. Miro says he doesn't know what's real anymore, but he will reveal his true self soon. This is followed by a promo for Darby Allin and his problems with the House of Black and Brody King. It's announced that next week we will see Brody King taking on Darby Allin in a coffin match. And I like the sound of that because we don't get one of these matches but once every 5 or 6 months. Last one was against Andrade, and Darby obviously won. But I think this is the right move
Yeah,
for Darby
I'm
versus
actually
Brody.
looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, me too. My only fear is because it looks a little predictable is that we're going to get Sting, Darby, and Miro versus the House of Black, and then Miro's going to turn and join House of Black. You know what I mean? Because he's been misted, and everybody who's gotten misted so far has joined. You know what I mean? I
Right.
hope it's not that predictable. I kind of like to see Sting join House of Black, but we know that ain't happening.
Nah.
You know, that's a good Christian boy there. He don't mess with all that devil's work. You know what I mean? We then go to the match that you and I talked about before we came on air: Christian versus Matt Hardy, a
Mhm.
25-year rivalry between two guys who always have great matches together. Christian and Matt had a decent match here, though. A lot of back and forth. Hardy almost had the match won, but then Christian pulled out all the stops, hit Matt Hardy with a cheap shot, got the win in 12 minutes. My favorite thing about this match, though, was the guy sitting front row, Mark, that had a sign that said, "I played this match on No Mercy on the N64."
Right.
Because I thought, like, yeah, so did I. You know?
I really hated the whole. I despise them introducing Matt Hardy as from the Hardy compound. Introduce
Right.
him as just from Cameron, North Carolina.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is he? Jim Jones? Is this Waco or some shit?
For all you know, though, the Hardy compound might be its own state. He might have become a sovereign nation. You know what I
Well,
mean? It is Matt
that would
Hardy.
make CNN.
So post match, Christian was looking to hit the one man concerto on Matt, but Luchasaurus entered the arena, which caused a distraction and allowed Jungle Boy to sneak up from behind. And of course, Christian ran off again. I still got something in me that says Luchasaurus is going to turn on Jungle Boy and join Christian because that 2 week being a badass and then going back to being Jungle Boy, it made no sense.
Or maybe they thought about it and was like, yeah, we don't know how to
Maybe,
properly gonna keep him as a heel,
maybe,
so we're just gonna turn him
maybe.
back and give him back to Jungle Boy because
You might be right. You might be right.
I
Tony,
love Jungle Boy's shirt
yeah,
at the end of this though, where it says Christian is a pussy. Oh
yep,
my god,
yep.
I laughed from a good place on that one.
I am a Jungle Boy fan. I will say it right now, and I like Luchasaurus too. I liked the character more when he was on Lucha Underground as Vibro. You know what I mean? But
Right.
I like them as a tag team, and I like that they're making Jungle Boy this a little bit more edgy. I mean, he's still this, uh, teen dream kind of guy, but he's saying bad words. He's looking to reveal all the Christian secrets. When he mentioned the Christian, the reason you were pissed I won the battle royal and you didn't win the money is because your wife just divorced you. I mean, that was straight out of the Attitude Era. You know what I
Oh
mean? It
yeah.
was like it was really really great. But I hope they do more with this to evaluate Jungle Boy than they do to evaluate Christian. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I want to see Jungle Boy elevated, not Christian Cage. And that's not a
Right.
knock to Christian, but he's had his day in the sun. You know.
Right.
So we then go to Tony, who interviews Daniel Garcia about his win over Brian Danielson. Garcia says he's the Dragon Slayer and the true best technical wrestler in the world. I like Garcia. I just wish he learned how to cut a promo. He's just yelling
Yeah,
for the
because
sake of
that made
yelling, Mark.
absolutely no sense. He said,
Yeah,
"I'm the Jungle Slayer," and then he's like, "Whenever you heal up and get back, I'll slay the dragon again."
yeah. I mean,
Like, really? You just said you already slayed him, so
right. He need. I think Jericho needs to pull him to the side. Kid, stop yelling. Number one, talk. You know what I mean? And look
right,
more serious because you look like you're constipated and want to take a shit, but you can. And deliver your words the right way. I mean, he's got Chris Jericho there. You'd think he would use him. But highlights from Pac's title defense, and I have to say his title reign, even though we don't know what the whole All Atlantic champion is because we've yet to see it on Dynamite or Rampage. I like what they're doing here because they're allowing him to go all over the UK and defend the title, so that when he finally comes back to the stage, maybe the states, maybe the title has some prestige.
right.
You know, back in the arena, Ethan Page cuts a promo about being dissatisfied with his position in the company, and he should because he went from being a decent talent who had Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky with him. Now Scorpio's injured, Dan Lambert left again, so he has nobody. But here comes Stokely Hathaway offering Ethan an opportunity to join his crew, and Page accepts. Hathaway is slowly building a great stable, in my opinion.
You know what he whispered in his ear?
What?
I can get you that figure.
That's funny. That is funny. I like that. I thought he wrestled. I thought he whispered, "Could you get me at WrestleBash on the August 20th?" Because Ethan's going to be there and Stokely isn't. But in
Right.
any indication, he's got the TBS champion Jade. Now he has Ethan Page. He's recently got Lee Moriarty. He's got Kira Hogan. I think this is what they were kind of trying to do with him in NXT, and it fell flat on its face because the Diamond Mine really wasn't a great place for him. And I like that
Right.
they're giving him a lot of nice different weapons to deal with as a manager.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's gonna be the Jimmy Hart of this day and age.
Right. Have a nice mixed bag of different clients.
Right.
Tony then interviews Anna J and the JSA. Notice I'm not saying their name because their name is the stupidest name for a stable I've ever heard. I say it every week. And they have her talk and say Jericho's going to win no matter what. Then the two other guys in the JSA say, because I don't know their new names. I think it's Matt Menard and Daddy Magic or something. I don't know, something like that. But is this
What was
why?
up with him saying something about his nipples?
Yeah, I didn't get it. These guys were known as 2.0 in NXT. They got on my nerves there, and guess what? They get on my nerves in AEW too, and not in a good way. They're not getting heat from me because I don't like their characters. I don't like them. I need them to go
Right.
away. You know what I mean? They need to go wrestle on the indie scene where I don't have to see them every week. You know. But is this why they turned Anna Jay heel? You know what I mean? To be with these two guys and to give them something to look, give us something to look at when these two idiots talk.
Well, I mean, that evidently they're banking on her being their sensational Sherry.
Well, I would have rather her been with Jungle Boy, her boyfriend. At
Right.
least that would have made more sense. Give me an actual, you know what I mean? And they could have fought in Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara, but I guess who am I? I don't book
They
wrestling,
could have did the whole stand by your man gimmick.
Right. We then go to the Gun Club versus the Acclaimed in the first ever dumpster match since Cactus Jack and Terry Funk taking on Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg. And
Oh my God.
this was an absolute war, and it had to be because it's a dumpster match. These four fought all over the arena and used just about everything they could. Anything that wasn't nailed down, Bowen showed impressive strength. Caster was limited but still good. These four were highlighted, and they should be. In my opinion, both teams are good, and they actually get over with the crowd. The Acclaim more so than anybody else. The Acclaim finally locked the Gun Club in the dumpster and got the win in 17 minutes. Didn't roll them off the stage, though, which would have been ironic and funny. But I enjoyed this, actually. You
What?
know,
They
it
did
wasn't.
roll him off the stage.
Did they?
Yeah.
My feed cut out. My DVR. We went straight to commercial after they locked them in the dumpster, and they celebrated for a minute. So they did throw them off the stage.
Yes, they did.
Damn, why did my TBS decide to? Oh fuck. Okay, call my cable company
But
tomorrow.
like, that's what me and you're gonna part ways on this show. Like, because you know how critical I'm gonna be of this match just
I
because of
understand.
my fandom of the other one.
Right. Of course.
So, like, my notes on this one was Caster's rap was actually stomachable.
Well, because you mentioned Vince.
Uh, yeah, and the acclaimed were in the dumpster way too fast to begin with. It
Right.
should have been more of a ball before anyone went into that dumpster for that
I
first
agree.
time.
I agree.
And I guess the gun club, the ass boys, whatever you want to call them, that they were paying tribute to Terry Funk with their attire.
I guess so.
That's what it insinuated to me. It looked
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they had the whole overall Chainsaw Charlie gimmick, and
Right.
then the other one had the headband with the. But I mean, the spot where they put him onto the table for him to hit the mic drop,
Right.
he went up there without a fight, and this needed to be that brawl, like to grit and to the nail,
I agree.
fight for your life type.
But seeing these four guys who barely get any TV time as it is actually get time, in my opinion, that's why I enjoyed it because it was actually highlighting the younger stars. You
Right,
know what I mean? And if they paid homage to Cactus and Terry and their father, you know what I mean, and everything that went on, yeah, it was not as nostalgic as the first one, but it got the job done. The fans were all over it throughout the entire match.
right.
So
But my thing is if all right, that match ain't been used in a while, the dumpster match gimmick.
right,
So if you're gonna do it,
do it right.
don't replicate it, but
Right.
like at least do the match justice.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. We get a rundown for Rampage, Battle of the Belts, and Quake at the Lake next week. Then we hear from Cesaro and Takashita, who, if you say out his name phonetically, it looks like it's Takashita. Um, this match is for the ROH title, and it should be great. But I have the problem with Takashita because he has gotten this will now be his third title match in AEW since he got there a month ago, and I've never really heard of him before. You know what I mean? So
I
like,
like I like his look. I'll
I
say
do
that I like
too.
his look. I am, but I'm kind of like you. I haven't seen enough of him to be
Right.
not
Why are
on the
you get
fence about him.
right? Like you got a shot at the AEW title, you got a shot at the Pure title. Now you're getting a shot at the Ring of Honor title. What the what? Who did he pay off? You know, and he's lost every match, and now he gave great fights in these matches. I'm not saying that he hasn't had a great fight, but I think the guy is like 2-5. So like, how did you gain all these title shots?
Right? Yeah. How are
You
you up in the
know,
rankings that high?
right? It really made the ranking system look like a joke. But
Right.
it's AEW, so I mean, look, I'm a fan, but I call a spade with a spade when it's supposed to be, and that was bullshit booking. And
I
now it's
agree.
time for our main event. Wheeler Yuta taking on Chris Jericho. Cesaro comes down. I should say it's not Cesaro anymore. It's Claudio. Comes down to back up Yuta before the match starts, and we're ready for our main event. Wheeler Yuta looked incredible from bell to bell. This kid is from going from the best friends to now being with the Blackpool Combat Club. It's night and day. But this kid was always good in the ring, so there's nothing really wrong with that. He deserves the push that he's getting. Jericho also worked his ass off in the match. Each guy got their shots in. Yuta had the match won on 2 occasions, but Jericho grunted it out and kicked out. Jericho finally locked in the Wells with Jericho and got the win at the 15-minute mark, but refuses to release the hold. So post match, John Moxley hits the ring. Jericho ran off. Jericho cuts a little bit of an incoherent promo, and Moxley and guarantees victory at Quake at the Lake, and the show goes off the air. Your thoughts on Wheeler Yuta versus Jericho, Mark?
I would have rather had you to go over.
I agree. I agree.
Um, I don't want to see Moxley and Jericho for the 500th
I agree again.
time. But like, is it just me or does Wheeler Yuta look like he's the non-mentally challenged superhuman?
Yeah. No, people have said that. People have been saying that for almost 6 months. He looks like a skinnier, non-mentally challenged superhuman, but yet still does the same crazy shit that guy's doing. You know what I mean?
Right,
He bleeds. He kills
right.
himself in the barbed wire. You know.
Yeah, he's an athlete, and
Yeah.
I would have much rather see him, and then you know, because that style would to me would mix real good with John against John Moxley.
Right. And they've had a match before, so they have history.
Right. So
So
like, yeah, and you want to keep this kid credible, so
right.
give him, the matchup against your champion.
But in any case, he did look great against Jericho. Jericho gave him a
Yes,
lot
he
in
did.
that match. You know what I mean? So we know you Wheeler Yuta is going to move on from this and have a stellar career from here on out. Really good episode though. A lot of great wrestling action. I'm gonna give Dynamite a 4 out of 5 again. Just a little bit better than NXT though. But both shows delivered this week, Mark.
Yeah. My rating's probably gonna be a 3.5 again because
Still a fair
just
score.
right. Uh, my my biggest issue of the night was like I said with Hobbs, and then that spot where Christian was choking Hardy with his foot, and he was hung
Right.
in the ropes, and his foot come off, and you're the guy getting choked, but you had to reposition his foot.
Right. Right. Shall
that
we move on?
that that really is what knocked it to a 3.5. I would have given it a 4 if that hadn't happened.
I get it. I get it. NWA Power is next, and we've already warned you guys already. So if you want to go have a bathroom break for the next few minutes, go right ahead. I understand. Show kicks off with Kyle Davis interviewing Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Taven uses the word Melvins way too much, but says they want the tag titles. Bennett says he respects La Rebellion, but doesn't agree with what they did to them last week. La Rebellion comes out and hypes themselves up and that they were title reign in the NWA. They tell Bennett and Taven they got to go through them to give them a shot. They end up brawling all around the arena, and this allows Damien 666 to come out and blind the team of Taven and Bennett with the red mist. Interesting opening segment, but this is what bothers me with it, Mark. Taven and Bennett
Okay.
are in Impact as heels, but yet they're playing the face route in NWA. I don't like that.
No, it's
You know what I
like
mean?
keep that consistent. Also, like
Right,
that's pivotal. Um, I always just think Canellis when I look at
right.
Bennett.
Maria Kanellis, exactly.
Right. And
You know,
I like the whole red mist in the face thing. That
I
was
agree.
definitely a good way to open it.
Yeah, because now you're waiting to see the next tag match between these two teams. So, at
Right.
least gives you a
And
little bit of story to build on.
I get Vampiro vibes from their face paint, but their in ring work isn't like that almost.
Well, the one guy who's bestie of 666 is Damian's son, so he has that
Right.
lucha style. But the other guy used to be known as Mecha Wolf, and he is not a luchador. So it's kind of a mixed style between the two of them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I enjoy the tag team.
I do too, but they're not the crispest tag team. Like, and then they brought up something that I'm going to talk about a little later on. For 224 days, we were the NWA Tag Team Champions. So the Rock and Roll Express were tag champions for 2 years. You know what I mean? There have been
Right,
champions that have held titles longer than you. You know what I mean? It's like that's not something to boast on.
right.
You know,
You're not a record breaker.
right? You know what I mean? But we'll get into that a little later on, folks. Just a sneak peek into the grinds my gear portion of the show. We get Scion taking on Rodney Mack. Different mix of styles. It's our opening match. Uh, Different mix of styles here. Cyan went technical and Mac rolled the whole way. Haven't seen Rodney Mack in years, but he looked good here. Mac had control, but Cyan caught him with a roll up and gets the win in 5 minutes. Decent opening, but need a little more time, Mark.
My opinion was that you need a real over baby face to
Right,
give that Scion gimmick some real heat.
right.
So, like, I didn't feel like that was the right way to do this match. But like you said, you don't get to see Rodney Mack all that often, anyways. But
Right.
so you're gonna pop for the nostalgia of it, obviously.
I think he
But
should have went over though.
right,
You know,
the
it, so
the
we get in.
Scion whole
Go ahead.
thing, yeah, it's like the to me he just went over because he's Austin Idol's kid gimmickly wise. I don't know if that's an
Right.
issue
Yeah.
or not, but
It's like okay. The question mark passed away. We need another mask guy. Throw this guy under a mask and say it's Austin Idol's son. What? You know what I mean? Like that was. They should have retired guys in masks that weren't actually luchadors for a little while, in my opinion.
right.
You know, we go to our first interview segment of the show with May Valentine. She interviewed Camille and Tom Lattimore. Camille says Billy Corgan has been making her jump through hoops, but she guarantees victory on both nights of NWA 74 because that will be a 2 day event. Lattimore says he will do whatever it takes to win at NWA 74, even if it means injuring himself. Now, Camille is going to fight Taya Valkyrie on night one, and then the winner of the Battle Royal on night two. I don't know who Tom Lattimore is fighting yet. He hasn't doesn't have a match set up yet, so I don't know exactly who he plans on injuring himself against. You know,
Uh, that's a very good question.
you know what I mean? Is he fighting Matt Cardona, who doesn't have an opponent yet? Is he fighting, Rodney Mack? Is he maybe waiting for Nick Aldis to come back? But if it's vacant, then we got a problem because vacant never loses.
Right.
May is now interviewing world champion Trevor Murdoch. She asks him why he acts to wrestle the Pope next week. But Trevor shuts her down and says that's between him and the Pope. He says that at NWA 74, he will walk out the champion in his match against Tyrus. But May tries to push the issue. She says, well, then why would you try to challenge the Pope if you have to get ready for Tyrus? But he isn't having it and walks off. I like Trevor as the champion because he's that common man as a champion. He's throwbacks to Dusty and Dick Murdoch and, other
Right.
guys in the NWA. But now that they're making him somewhat of a heel, it's getting a little mixed reaction from me because heel Trevor Murdoch didn't really do anything for me. The face Trevor Murdoch I was enjoying.
Well, I had to do a double take because I thought for a second Sam Elliott was doing a voiceover on this.
You're right. You're right. He did sound like Sam Elliott.
I was
Um,
like, "Is this Western?"
we then go to a six-man Team Wars elimination match. Mark's, excuse me. Mark's going to help me out with this one in a minute, but basically what this is a six-man tag where you can win by pinfall, submission, or throwing your opponent over the top rope and having both feet hit the floor. Who came up with this? Vince Russo? This was a bit of a clusterfuck, though, with no real structure and just move after move and being performed until someone got eliminated. Not really sure what these guys' names are, even as they're just being called by their team names, the Ill Begotten and the Miserable Faithful, who are with James Mitchell. In the end, the Miserable Faithful got the win at the 8 minute mark. This wasn't terrible, but they could have been a little more filled in on who and why this was going on. So,
Right.
Mark, you heard their names, you know who they were. What what did I miss here?
Sal Renaro is he used to go by my pal Sal.
Right.
That is the one that is basically like the love child of Eugene and Mankind.
Jesus. Okay.
You see when he scored the first pinfall, how he
Yeah.
sat there and rocked. We won. We won. We won. The one with the mask with the horns on it, that is actually Gimp,
Gimp.
and and that submission that he won with is called the Gags Reflex,
Jesus Christ.
and the
Okay.
big guy was Judas.
Judias. Okay. I'm happy I missed their names. Thank you for filling us in. um, wow. All right, NWA. What the fuck happened to the NWA, ladies and gentlemen? We get highlights from NWA USA with Marty Bell picking up a triple threat win and head to May Valentine interviewing Homicide. They talk about Homicide versus PJ Hawks, and I was actually surprised because Homicide paid respect to PJ and says that he, can't wait to have a match with him. Caprice Coleman, who's also there, says he will be at NWA 74 and tells Homicide, when you're done with the kids, give the man a shot. So is this leading
Yep.
to a feud with a former announcer in Ring of Honor and Homicide? Because Homicide will cut that son of a bitch up.
Former announcer, he's still doing stuff on the Ring of
Right.
Honor commentary team.
That's what
But
I'm
I'm
saying.
I'm happy to see him get his roses though.
Right.
I'd really like to see him hold that belt.
I'll be honest. I've seen Caprice Coleman wrestle, I think, twice. But, I don't know. I'm just,
I know he's capable of going the distance.
well,
That should if that happens, that will be one to watch.
all right. Well, I'll take your word for it. May Valentine then does a sit down show called Heart to Heart, and she's with Colby Carino. Colby discusses his father, Steve Carino, and says he loves his dad, but what's this got to do with him? She then asks him about Tyrus and if he's read Tyrus's book. Aaron Stevens gets involved when this upsets Colby. Carino and Stevens then begin to argue, and dumb questions just keep getting asked. Um, this should have been done separately on YouTube. This should not have been a part of the actual show. You know what I mean? If they wanted to give
Yeah.
May Valentine a chance to break out, that's fine, but not at the expense of Colby Carino and Aaron Stevens.
Well,
You know,
I mean, I also like that they actually let KC Rocker say something.
that's right. And you just recently had him on Mark Cindy Spotlight, so it kind of probably made you go like, "Hey, why didn't he tell me about that?"
No, I haven't had him on the spotlight yet. I had him booked
Oh,
for
okay.
that benefit show that we just done,
Oh,
and he
okay.
couldn't make it. So his
Okay.
tag team partner, that him and both of them were recently on, I think it was Dark or Dark Elevation.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Luther's son, Caleb Kennedy, actually came in his place.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. All right. Well, we go to our main event, which had me again questioning what the hell is going on because it's Odin's son taking on Tyrus with the TV title on the line, but they have a 6 minute and 5 second time limit on the match. Now I get it,
Yeah.
6:05. That's the time NWA used to come on TBS, but uh, Tyrus took an early advantage and beat the crap out of Odin's son for about 3 minutes of the 6 minutes. Odin's son made a comeback, but it was too little too late. Tyrus hit the hard punch and got the win in 4 minutes. What's with the 6 minute time limit, and why was this episode so quick?
Yeah, I don't understand. They should have explained that. My notes on this one was, what the fuck is up with Odinson spraying the beard?
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, why was he kept spraying his mouth? What was that about? What was that?
I don't know.
Was that spray paint, or was it like some kind of drink?
It must have been like mystical crack dust or something.
Something. But it was the whole episode was weird. It was just, I mean, you have a pay per view to promote that's 3 weeks away, and this is what you do. Meanwhile, here's Billy Corgan doing interviews every day, saying one, Nick Aldis was politicking and trying to use the NWA for his own self gain, and two, I've got a 20-year plan to make this the best company again. Well, I can see why you have a 20-year plan, Billy.
Because it's going to
That,
take that long before that becomes in style.
that's right. You know, a 49-minute wrestling show with all that interviewing and all that bullshit they did. And I think they had what, 8 minutes of actual wrestling? No, I
Right.
lied. 16
Don't
minutes.
don't get me lying. I like the look of the Odinson character.
Right,
The only thing that lost me with him was the whole spraying of the beard thing. Like, what in
right,
the hell is going on with that?
right. I mean, I look, we grew up in a time when George Steele used to eat turnbuckles, but he wasn't spraying his mouth with disinfectant or whatever the hell that was.
Uh,
I'm giving. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say before
the
I get my grade.
basically to me, my opinion that the NWA has made Brodus Clay, because I'm not gonna call him Tyrus. They have made him their Brock Lesnar type guy,
Yeah,
and why the fuck give him the heart punch for a finisher? Who the hell does he think he is, Ox Baker?
right, right. I mean, that he could be doing so many other things as the guy that size. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's going to look bad when Trevor Murdoch beats him because they're putting a
Yeah,
lot behind this guy. But I don't see
and
Trevor losing the world title.
to me, like he's like you said, he's got that 20-year plan to make it a great company again and all that, but not like this.
Not no, not like this.
It's
You
not
know
happening.
the the fun thing about the NWA on Saturday at 6:05 was they were fast matches. We got 3 minutes of the Road Warriors beating the crap out of the Monkeys, and Arn Anderson beating an enhancement talent. But you've got your big talent beating up your big talent in 5 minutes. That doesn't help anybody.
Nah,
You know what I mean? Odin's son was
yeah.
supposed to be was built up for this TV title match, and you let him lose in 4 minutes where he only got 30 seconds worth of offense. I get it. We're trying to put Tyrus over, but he was already over.
What's up with
You know what I
them
mean?
calling him the Man Star? That's so dumb.
I don't get it. But in any case, I gave NWA Power a 2 out of 5, mainly because I was feeling generous, because that was kind of brutal to watch this week. And like I said, I'm giving them to NWA 74, and if they don't wow me, I'll add MLW or Impact to this damn son of a bitch if I have to. You know,
Well, honestly though, the MLW you'll probably enjoy because
I watch
they have a pretty
MLW. I
decent
enjoy
product.
him. I enjoy
Right?
MLW. You know, that's how I got to see Brian Pillman Jr. for the first time, and to figure out where the hell David Hart Smith's been for all this time. You know what I mean? And Jacob Fatu is one of my favorite Samoans in honest opinion. And I thought he
Yeah,
should have beat Josh Alexander at Ric Flair's last match for the title.
and cool. He's from the Georgia independent scene.
Really,
Yeah. It wasn't the same gimmick, but yeah, I know who's underneath that mask.
really not.
And
um,
the suplex assassin, Alex Kane.
hmm
He's actually like I've done shows where he's been on the card, so to see him get that
That's pretty cool.
to see him get
That's
that
pretty
push is pretty cool.
right.
And they're
Well,
getting all those boss fight studio figures. for
Right.
MLW, so that's pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I want a Jacob Fatu and a Hammerstone, but
Oh yeah.
you know. So with that being said, and we now move to my favorite part of the show because I get to bitch even more so than I do during the actual show. It's time for grinds my gears. So I'm going to go ahead and light a cigarette and talk to you people about wrestling promotions that count the days of every damn title reign. Now, I just mentioned it with La Rebellion. They decided to put over that they were a 224-day title reign when they had the NWA tag team titles. But yet we both know, myself and Mark, Nate Maxon, who's a historian, will tell you that teams like the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, the Horsemen, and the Road Warriors held those belts for even longer. I get doing it with Roman Reigns. The man is on a historic title run. He is at 700 days with the Universal and World Heavyweight title. He is set. He's only 300 days away from Pedro Morales, so I can understand that happening. But there is no reason to tell me that The Miz had the Intercontinental title for 37 days. There is no reason to tell me that Dolph Ziggler won the Intercontinental title and has had it 105 days. That means shit to me. You understand? That is not like telling me when Goldberg was 178 and 0, or when The Rock won the world title. You know, when Brock Lesnar became the world heavyweight champion, beating The Rock, and was the youngest champion. That is an accolade. But holding a title for 90 days and you barely defended it twice don't mean shit. You understand? This is 2022. The time for fake records and fake accolades needs to get thrown out of the window. I hate this when it happens in any sport, Mark. I'm going to be really honest here. When I hear them make up fake stats during a football game, like he's the first player on his team since 2005 to catch a ball with his left hand in the middle of summer. That means nothing. That's a fake, made up accolade because you had nothing else to say during the time out. Wrestling has been doing that for the last 5 or 6 years. I understand. CM Punk had the longest world title reign during the modern era of 435 or 450 days. That was cool. Thank you. When Santino Marella won the Intercontinental title and he said the Honkameter and showed us how long Honky Tonk Man had the Intercontinental title, that made it cool. Roman Reigns
Right.
having it now. These are cool accolades. These are cool trivia questions to ask somewhere down the line. But to tell me that Dana Brooke has had the 24/7 title for 16 days. Dude, that title changes hands every week.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Okay, you want to tell me Ron Killings has held the title 78 times. That's funny. I want to hear that. That's hysterical. You know what I mean? But you're
Uh-huh.
making up accolades in this business that don't mean anything just because everybody needs a participation award nowadays. Just because you want to make everybody feel special. Well, guess what? This is wrestling. Not everybody is special. If you suck, you suck. If your title reign only lasted 8 days, it's because they didn't see you as a drawing champion in that 8 days.
Well, I mean, too, if you get asked a random trivia question, it's not gonna be something that's not noteworthy.
Right. If no one's going to ask me, how long did the Usos hold the WWE Tag Team titles for in August of 2021? You know what I mean? That's not a trivia question. You know what
Right.
I mean? In 30 years, it might be. You know what I mean? And I hate that we have to make up even further that because we wanted to make the New Day beat Demolition because Demolition is not well liked by the WWF or WWE anymore. We made the New Day the longest reigning tag team champions by combining all of their reigns. You know what I mean? Well, fuck, I could be the
Mhm.
longest reigning world champion if I combine all my reigns, and I haven't had any. You know,
Right.
we're combining reigns now. What does that mean?
But if you're gonna fabricate shit,
You know, it needs to be stopped because it's something that doesn't need to be celebrated. Celebrate when they won the title. Celebrate when they lost the title. But to celebrate because they had the title 68 days so far makes no sense. It does nothing for
Yeah.
me. It makes me angry and it gets annoying because you do it every week. Like I said, Roman Reigns just hit 700 days. Celebrate that. That's fine. But now stop for 100 days. Wait till he hits 800 next before you tell me. You know what I mean? But you're going to give me a countdown that now I hope he loses the title. Because I just don't want to see him. I just don't want to hear him say it again. So cut the bullshit out. It's a fake, made up accolade for no reason. When he beats Hulk Hogan's reign, or he gets anywhere near Bruno Sammartino, then I want to hear about it.
Right.
Then I'm okay to hear about it. But you got anything you
But
want to add,
it
partner?
don't need to be drilled all the time.
No, no. As a fan listening for the first time, like if a guy puts on SmackDown and hears that, they go, "Oh, that's cool. Maybe I'll watch again next week." And then you hear it every week after that. They're gonna go, "So, oh, great, he made it another 7 days with the title that he only defended for the first time in 90 days at SummerSlam." Does it? It's easy to be a champion when you don't defend your title. You know.
I agree.
So, got anything
It's
else you'd like to add,
like
my
we
friend?
were what? Yeah, like we were talking earlier about the whole Roman thing. Like he needs to start defending it more because it's easy to have that long of a reign when you're not defending it.
Right. He's
But
set to fight to defend it against Drew, which is until September 3rd.
right.
You know.
But what really grinds my gears this week
Hmm.
is the art of selling in professional wrestling.
Ah,
They You just took a move that is supposed to, rock the crap out of you.
right,
But 2 seconds later, you're on offense, kicking the shit out of your opponent.
right, right. If the super kick is that devastating, how are you up a second later on the top rope doing a 450 splash?
Right. Or
You know.
or they hit a finisher 15 times through the match. That's why the fuck is it your finisher if it's not that brutal?
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Selling needs to be brought back into the picture, because if you're going to wow me for 20 minutes during a match, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, even, I need to know that you're in parallel, that you're hurt, that the reason you made a comeback was because you grunted it out and fought back better than you ever have. Like Wheeler Yuta.
Right.
Wheeler Yuta sells. I believe that young man when he sells. Daniel Garcia
Right.
sells. But there are other guys on that roster, Young Bucks, you know what I mean? Let's see who else. Adam Page, Adam Cole. These guys get put through tables and are back up a minute and a half later. Like, what?
Uh-huh.
Don't let the Dudley boys see you pull that shit. you know? So,
But we're gonna put you through the table and make it hurt.
oh, yeah. It won't even be sawed into. We'll just put you through a regular table.
You'll have no
So,
choice but to sell it.
Mark, do you have any parting words for the fans at home before we sign off?
This week on Mark Cindy Spotlight, I have former ECW and East Coast Wrestling, independent wrestling star Chad Austin.
My rival.
It's pretty good episode. We had fun doing it, and I'm really enjoying this platform. Uh, Listen to a slice in time. Listen to, of course, if you smell what the artist is cooking, all that. We can't wrestle. We had really fun with a lot of fun last night.
Yes,
Recorded
we
that
did.
one when that episode drops. Listen to it. Uh, Golden Voices. Just consume this great content because we're really having a blast with it, and it
Yes,
shows
we are.
through the
Yes.
shows.
Oh, yes. Very. I agree with Mark 100%. Next week we will be back with AEW Quake at the Lake Dynamite. I don't know what the hell a Quake at the Lake is. I didn't know you could have earthquakes at a lake, but okay. Um, and NXT, NWA Power. Hopefully it'll be better. Um, and yeah, like Mark said, check out all the content that we have on the WrestleNet Radio and We Can't Wrestle podcast networks. We implore you, tell a friend. You know what I mean? You don't gotta like all the shows, but like what you like.
Yeah, I mean,
And
if you don't like one, go on and listen to the next one. If you don't like that, you're fine and keep listening till you find something you like.
right, exactly, exactly. But as always, thank you guys for joining me. Mark, thank you for joining me here this week on the show. Um, I will be back next week. As always, thank you guys for your continued support. And we will see you next week on If You Smell what the Arch is Cooking. Good night, folks.